On Tuesday, 16th April 2019, Luke Harper joined the growing number of WWE superstars asking for their release from the company. What could be Harper's reasons for wanting to leave, and are they specific to him or evidence of a growing problem in the WWE? Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the growing number of superstars requesting their releases and what it means for the WWE's future. On Tuesday afternoon, Wyatt family member Luke Harper, aka Jonathan Huber, tweeted the following: "As of this evening, I have requested a release from WWE. The past 6 years have been a simply amazing journey around the world and back, with lifelong friends and family. I am proud of it all and proud to say I shared the ring with my co-workers. This decision, as difficult as it was, feels right for myself and WWE. My goal in the future is to continue to grow as a performer and a person and continue to make my family proud. Thank you. From the top to the bottom of WWE. Thank you to the fans for your undying support. Thank you everyone." Harper has been absent from WWE television since his run with former Wyatt family member Eric Rowan as the Bludgeon Brothers. Both men were taken off television after suffering injuries, and while Rowan returned to becoming the new Daniel Bryan's henchman, Harper has been absent other than an appearance at WrestleMania Access and WrestleMania 35's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, despite being cleared to wrestle for some time now. Wrestling fans are wondering why Harper is suddenly looking to leave the WWE, as well as the bigger question: why are so many superstars looking to leave wrestling's biggest promotion? Once upon a time, wrestlers were free to come and go from promotions, with the only requirement being they served notice to a promoter before leaving for another promotion. Typically, the departing wrestler would do the JOB to put over as many superstars as possible before leaving. However, when Vince McMahon took over the WWF from his father, he began raiding other promotions' talent, often suggesting they walk out on their bosses without giving notice. McMahon in turn signed his top names to contracts to guarantee they didn't jump ship on him. Although it should be noted that on more than one occasion, Vince McMahon told prospective workers that the contract wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Wrestlers had no options for leaving the WWF unless McMahon granted it. For example, when Shawn Michaels' fellow Kliq members Kevin Nash and Scott Hall jumped to WCW, Michaels requested his release, but McMahon refused, unwilling to lose another top star to WCW. As discussed in our 3-part Behind the Titantron series The Montreal Screwjob, McMahon granted Bret Hart his release to go to WCW under the pretext that he could no longer pay the Hitman. Fast forward 20 years and the WWE is still the undisputed leader of professional wrestling, with most performers seeing a WWE contract not only as validation for their work, but as a sign they've hit the big time. How to explain then the recent requests of superstars such as Sasha Banks, Luke Harper, The Revival, Dean Ambrose, and the latest request, Alexander Wolfe? Are these isolated incidents or something far worse? It's hard to argue that the wrestlers requesting their release lacked talent or the potential for further success. All the wrestlers asking for releases were successful in NXT and on the main roster with championship wins. Take the case of Luke Harper, a wrestler who usually lurked in the background during his WWE run, but demonstrated an entertaining blend of power-based moves in the ring. Despite his size, Harper has surprising mobility in the ring, and he's by no means the lumbering oaf once typical with big men in the ring. Harper has a menacing look and is a natural heel. There may be more to his career than that. As wrestling history has shown, fans gravitate to heels who take no prisoners, and it's possible Harper could work well as a brawling babyface. The problem is that WWE has been misusing his talents of late, part of the possible reason for Harper requesting his release. In the case of Sasha Banks, the boss has excelled in both singles and tag team competition, holding the NXT Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, and the Women's Tag Team Championship with Bayley. However, Banks was reportedly upset that she and Bayley had to drop the tag team titles after holding it a handful of months. Prior to their run as Raw Tag Team Champions, former 2-time NXT Tag Champions The Revival requested their release, arguing they weren't being pushed. Former WWE Champion Dean Ambrose was also upset about how his character was handled. Finally, Sanity member Alexander Wolfe is said to be unhappy with his push, requesting his release, although the latest word is that he's still under contract. Looking at these superstar situations shows some common threads when it comes to reasons why they requested their releases. Number 1. Big fishes in a big pond. The WWE roster has never been this deep or this wide before, with new stars being recruited constantly. As we've discussed in previous videos, the WWE may not have a top star such as Hulk Hogan, The Ultimate Warrior, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock or John Cena, but they have a considerable number of main event players who could make the jump to stardom if the WWE gives them a chance. Likewise, the undercard is packed with talent that could shine much as it did during the Attitude Era if the WWE books them correctly. Regrettably, the WWE's writing and booking has come up short, adding to wrestlers' woes when it comes to getting a sustained push and a regular appearance on WWE TV. Not only is it difficult for new wrestlers to find their way once they hit the main roster, it's arguably even tougher for players who have been in the company for long to break out once they become trapped in the WWE's booking bog. For example, Luke Harper has been with the WWE since 2012 and on the main roster since 2013. Whilst he's had a decent run, the last 2 years haven't been good to his career. In Banks' case, she's a top star used in the main event who took a back seat to the Rousey-Flair-Lynch program. The WWE's Women's Tag Team Championship proved no consolation when she lost it mere months after winning it. In the case of Alexander Wolfe, he and his Sanity teammates fizzled as soon as they were brought up to the main roster, despite a strong run on NXT. And again, in the case of Dean Ambrose, he plays third fiddle to the likes of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Number 2. The locker room is growing toxic. With so much talent and a limited amount of spots, it's only natural that some WWE superstars have grown dissatisfied with the company, regardless of how well they're being paid. If a wrestler's goal is to climb the top or even near the top, it's frustrating when they're misused or not used at all. The WWE has many hours of television time, but it's not used properly, resulting in less time for wrestlers to showcase their talents. This problem seems to be spreading faster than a zombie outbreak, and the WWE needs to re-examine its booking practices before things get out of hand. We're not stating that WWE's financial picture mirrors WCW during its dying days, but it's difficult to ignore the locker room parallels between WCW circa 2000 and the WWE today. Recall as more WCW wrestlers asked for their release as they grew unhappy with the way they were being used. This led to the eventual departures of names such as Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn. The WWE has enough talent to endure a talent exodus, but you can be certain that Vince McMahon doesn't want his rivals to land his stars and use them against him. Number 3. Some have gone as far as they're going to go. Luke Harper's career suggests a common problem with wrestlers requesting their releases, hitting the creative wall. While Luke Harper never had a run in the main event, he was constantly in the upper card early on in his career thanks to his membership in the Wyatt family. As a member of the Wyatt family, Luke worked big programs against top teams such as The Shield, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, and the Brothers of Destruction. He's also held the Intercontinental Championship when he aligned himself with the Authority, a sign that he could be a singles performer as well as a faction flunky. While Harper may have been pigeonholed by his association with the Wyatt family, it was a good place to be pigeonholed, most of the time. However, when Randy Orton began his feud with Bray Wyatt, Harper took a back seat and began being misused. Although his pairing with Rowan as the Bludgeon Brothers showed promise as well as a SmackDown Tag Team Championship reign, their simultaneous injuries and subsequent absence snapped the team's momentum. Harper has reportedly been cleared to wrestle since early February, yet the WWE chose not to use him until recently. Harper could easily have reformed his team with Rowan, helping Daniel Bryan offset Kofi Kingston's New Day teammates. Harper also could have rejoined Bray Wyatt or been given a chance as a singles wrestler. The WWE's limited use of Harper suggests they're uncertain how to use him, and perhaps they even have no long-term plans for him. If true, it's easy to understand Harper's rationale for requesting his release. In Sasha Banks' case, she was relegated to contender status after dropping the Raw Women's Championship and received a short push when the Boss and Hug Connection won the women's tag titles. Whilst it's possible Banks could be recycled into the Women's Championship picture, there's little guarantee based on the way her career is gone. At age 27, Banks has plenty of time for a successful career, but she seems unwilling to wait in the WWE. This brings us on to number 4, the age factor. While many of the superstars requesting releases are relatively young, that doesn't apply to Luke Harper, who's 39 years old, and in the case of the Revival, father time may still be an issue. Granted, 39 doesn't mark a death knell for a wrestler's career, but Harper surely realizes he has less years ahead of him in the ring than he has behind him. At 39, it takes longer to heal from injuries and promoters are less likely to push someone at Harper's age because they're considered a diminishing return on any promotional investment. Harper could become a wrestler whose best years happen later on in his career, a la DDP, but he has to move fast. If Harper wants to establish a legacy for himself, he knows he has to do it soon and it's unlikely to happen in the WWE. In the case of the Revival and Alexander Wolfe, you have wrestlers who are in their 30s who put considerable time in NXT before jumping to the main roster. The Revival were misused until recently, and in Wolfe's case, his entire WWE run was a failure. Wrestlers are likely frustrated when they pay their dues only to be ignored. Number 5. All Elite Wrestling is calling. There are several possibilities for the wrestlers seeking their releases, including Impact, Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. But the obvious choice seems to be the WWE's new rival, All Elite Wrestling. AEW makes perfect sense as the company has shown it's willing to break out the checkbook to sign talent, and its small roster means wrestlers have a better opportunity to make their mark. With the exception of Harper, all wrestlers requesting releases seem like a good fit for All Elite, and Harper could too depending on whether All Elite Wrestling wants larger-than-life heels. The opportunity to succeed on a national stage and earn the same amount of money has to appeal to anyone looking to leave the WWE. And number 6. An uncertain future. Ultimately, the WWE has the final say on these wrestlers' future, and it's possible the company will keep them under contract, even if it means sending them home to sit out the remainder of their contracts, like they did with Neville. As more WWE superstars request their releases, there comes a time when the company will have to decide how to handle the growing number of disgruntled wrestlers. It's difficult to imagine Vince McMahon releasing anyone who asks for a release, as he wants to maintain the image that he controls the WWE. He also doesn't want to give his competitors ammunition to use against him, as it's possible departing WWE superstars could become top players elsewhere. Again, just look at Cody Rhodes. If the WWE grants Harper or anyone else their release, it could set a dangerous precedent as more wrestlers opt out for greener pastures in AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and many other indie promotions. Simultaneously, he can't push every wrestler who asks for a release or again, as he risks losing control of the locker room. How McMahon handles the matter without disruptions to the locker room or his overall product should prove one of the most interesting situations in recent history. But there you have it, guys. Reasons as to why so many superstars are requesting releases from the WWE. Do you think these wrestlers are justified for wanting to leave? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.